white collar and blue collar. You have the Oaks against some other team that I don't know.
Richmond versus Hawthorne.
Yeah.
There's just some artificial.
And sorry, you can break it down even like, I've got an odd number of the street and you've got the even, so.
Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
I know. Which is based on the divide and conquer in a sense.
Certainly,
because if you don't connect, then you're only left by yourself to defend for yourself.
We are social beings.
And you've got no power.
Yeah. We could not have survived.
Since we looked at that last, Gina Reinhardt has just ticked over 400,000.
Yeah.
She's just ticked over 400,000.
Well done, Gina.
Australia.
You earned every cent of it, Gina.
I know. She worked hard for that on a fucking chocolate pudding. I'm sorry.
I don't know, but like we kind of we summarized a lot of things. Firstly, it would be, you're a human being. You deserve to live. If you deserve to live, you deserve the basics.
Yeah.
And I would say people have the basics that have more freedom.
Though, I believe that everyone needs to be made to feel that they have contributed to that thing that gets given to everybody.
You need to
and you have to have a task at hand, otherwise people will think that, they're not pulling their weight. And all this effort is coming about because of just a small portion of us working hard.
Yeah,
so that's where it's like, you don't deserve this comes in. And the value is important because
you've got to realize that, the people we fucking go like, what a fucking loser, what a dull bludger, what a,
it's probably a genius artist.
No, but they've been in an honest sense, they've been conditioned to be just that,
Yeah.
They've woken up in the morning as a child.
Yeah.
For like 10 years straight and see their parents on the booze.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching TV, flicking channels, and maybe taking ice. What after a decade of that? Like, how can you possibly expect like an individual to go out like, I'm fascinated.
Pull up his bootstraps and get out on the pavement, find himself a job, work his way up the fucking ladder.
I'd be fascinated about the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I know.
Not.
Yeah.
Like,
that's so true,
just like the conditioning.
But that's the thing that always puzzled me. Like, it's the lack in society nowadays of being able to empathize. Like, in a sense, you've got your own perspective, which is alright, but being like, most of the peoples are incapable of putting themselves in somebody else's shoes for just 1 second. Like, it's either my way or my way. It doesn't matter. Like, even when they're judging somebody else by their own standard, in a sense. And they fail to understand that that person had a different upbringing, different environment in which he grew up and everything. So,
but at what point do you just allow these people who grow up in shit environments to just be, understanding, and then just go, just go on, be like that because it's the environment. At what point do we go, I expect you to pull up your socks and self-reflect and evolve? Like, when do you expect that of people?
Well, a lot of people
that's
say
that.
that.
To take place.
A lot of
Jess is making a point.
People are having
the thing is, it's like someone has, whatever your opinion of mental illness is, it's just some understanding of why they're acting the way they are. It doesn't mean that you're giving them an excuse. It doesn't mean that you don't expect anything of them. But just some appreciation going, I can actually see how you come to view that point. It's just...
No, I understand what you're saying.
And that's it. Like, I don't think people...
What we're talking about.
We're talking about dull bludgers, essentially.
Profound.
It is. It's not, it isn't some guy sitting there going, I am lazy, So I'm gonna take other people's tax money from the government,
But
so I can oblige of their labor.
What was the statistic?
Exactly, and how dare you relate? People say that the whole country of Greece is lazy compared to the rest of Europe. Like, who the fuck is judging this lazy competition?
The statistic is something like I've seen a thing on Facebook about America saying, is it easier to believe that, 340 million people were lazy or 1 million people were greedy? Like, what's easier to see? Let's be serious, like everyone, you're not working hard enough, you're not doing enough hours, you're not doing a job. America has the highest weekly average of work rate in the whole of the world. Not even the Western world, the whole of the world.
Wow. I would have thought it's Japan.
You can Google it, No, America, man. Like, I met a couple overseas and they were like, what are you going to do when you go back home? I'm just going to go get a job. And they're like, how do you get a job? Like, these guys are in the same job. They don't get holidays every year. A lot of the guys I met overseas haven't had holidays for 5 years. They just every day, week in, week out. They don't even get those benefits aren't even there. That's incredible, man. Like, I couldn't even imagine, like, it's taken them a long time to get the shit together to be able to actually, present something like Occupy Wall Street or something like that. They were going all right in the 60s, but then something went wrong.
We went too far the other extreme, though. Like,
in the 60s, there was a lot of things going on.
That way, sort of,
after the war.
Back, we're like, that was a bit extreme, and then you go back, and then now we're sort of eventually
we're just trying to find a middle ground.
And balance.
But it's always about, swings, in a sense.
So, it has to be a pretty big thing to make people change to the point where they need to have the revolution, like the point.
Yeah. In a sense.
The shit thing has to be so shit that you're really passionate about how you're going to make it never happen again, and you're going to fix it.
If you take
that's not going to happen just...
No, but that's the point. If you take a time window, say 30 years or something like that, you have, for example, the 70s, and you end up in the year 2000, and it's quite the opposite in a sense.
Yeah,
like from the 70s to the year 2000.
Yeah.
But it seems like the whole social evolution goes about in the swings of a pendulum. And
so technology
you have to analyze
way too fast for our actual social involvement to actually take on the responsibility of power that we've gotten with technology.
It's more about
monkey brains aren't
handling the data. We're not enough to understand the fact that we have the ability to kill a whole planet now with nuclear weapons. We're not mature enough to handle that kind of force.
But it's more about I was intending it as swings in terms of independence of the people and total domination of the state
but all that is
and government in a sense,
led type thing. And I think that's something that
where do you think at the moment on the graph of 1 to 100 between people leading or government leading? Where do you think we are? Give me a number.
Leadership is
89%.
Alright.
It's not telling people what to do. That's the main. That's the main.
Let's try to answer a question. This podcast has been now on for an hour and a half.
And
that we've been recording.
$679,000 in the space of this.
In this space of half an hour, she's on $700,000 now.
But before we get off this podcast, Gina Reinhardt will have made $1 million. Now you judge if she deserves it.
Yeah.
I'd say being able to eat. I'll say being able to eat 10 cheesecakes in a space of 40 minutes certainly deserves something. But anyway, look, let's try to answer a question.
Massive fridge.
There will be maybe 100 people watching this. Hopefully more than 100.
Hopefully.
But
let's say number 101.
Let's say the 100 on the average relatively aware people are watching this, and let's say we're talking straight to them and say what advice could we give them in terms of what decisions to make in their everyday lives that they can help the world shift towards a better rather than worse direction. Now we've hypothesized a lot about everything. If Sean, we could start with you. if you were to sit your fellow intelligent human being in front of you for 2 minutes, and you go like, shit, like, let's say you travel back from the future or something, like, let's say you got 2 minutes to tell somebody something useful about how to live their life on Earth, like, what would it be?
Run. Yeah, no. What would it be? Well,
come on,
it would be. It would be. You've got to respect
what
that.
You want to do.
Shut up. You got to respect that. You got to respect that. Education is the first and foremost bit of raising a society. Definitely, yeah.
If you're talking practically about to come about the point of whatever it is, the
of
goal
a better society, of a functional, sustainable society, which is education is the first and foremost.
Alright.
You're only emphasising that because at the moment it becomes clear that's one of the things we're lacking. So that's why you think it's
yeah, but that's what I thought we were talking about. I didn't think we were talking about a magical land where I could just say, enjoy your life, have a good time.
No interruption.
But no. Education, I think doctors should be paid as much as, teachers should be paid as much as doctors. No.
That's a good point.
As long as, once again, human nature doesn't get in the way in the education system.
Alright. Well, Jess, you've talked very little, but we're counting. We're counting on some wisdom. Just no pressure whatsoever.
This is like the sangria. It'll sink in, and eventually you'll realise what I'm saying. It's really good. What am I saying?
Let's say you have a random, relatively intelligent person transplanted in front of you for 2 minutes flat, and you gotta give that person some advice.
Online.
I mean, let's say it's a 15-year-old girl. What would you say?
I would use a condom.
Not worth it, no. I would say, well, Tess and I have a bit of a theory that it's not even worth going into at the moment.
No, it is worth going into at the moment.
I'm not in the right mental
state.
It is one hell of a topic.
My whole understanding.
Okay, sure.
I would just say that the capability of the human brain to actually think is enormous, and to not appreciate that is just a waste. So just appreciate the fact that you can think and be aware of things and challenge yourself and try and actually think about shit. That's what you've got to do. You don't have to make an opinion. Just use your brain. Just actually accept that there are opinions and go, oh, maybe this isn't exactly the way I think it is. That's all.
So be curious.
Good girl.
Be curious.
Be curious.
Use
Think
your
deeply.
brain.
Think deep.
What do you say, Tess?
Do what you want to do.
Is that it? Is that all you got?
Yeah.
No.
Too easy.
It's too easy. Go deeper. You can't.
Yeah.
Can't leave that. That's silly.
Her opinion.
I actually think that's
you've got to be respectful of the situation that
so go deeper. I know that you can get another way there.
Especially what'd you say?
If you got 15 minutes, with someone,
if you wanted to tell someone something in the future that you wanted them to pass on, and you wanted a message, go do this and tell your friends.
What would
you do?
Do what you gotta do. Is that what that be?
No, what you want to do. I think do what gives you pleasure. Do what you want to do all the time.
Okay.
Do what makes you feel happy.
Alright.
That's it. Is it not
bad one?
No. Why is it so dumb?
Do what you want to do.
Why is that stupid? I think that's...
No.
That's pretty much what we're doing now.
Like,
but that solves everyone's problems.
Do what you want to do.
Necessarily.
At the end of the day, if there's no consequences, sure.
Surely, if somebody's playing, 8 hours a day Call of Duty, maybe they just want to grab an MP5 collar and just shoot some fucking people and pretend that they're terrorists.
Want to do that? Is that really what they want to do?
Probably not, but
I'm not so much
nonetheless.
talking about momentary things in time or I feel like doing that. I mean, like, do what you want to do. Like, understand the whole structure of how your life works together in different parts of it and where you want to head and do that. Do what you're drawn to do. Do what
Follow
you're
your
supposed
heart.
to do. Do what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do. The reason you're here is to express and share something that is unique to you and your position, and you need to go and do that. And the only way you can do it is if you are doing what you want all the time. If something makes you unhappy, you don't do it anymore.
I dig it.
So you see, that's much better than me.
I dig it. Michele.
Thanks.
Wow. having just concentrated on what she was saying, I forgot what I meant to tell.
You agree with me, just repeat what I said.
Well, as I said before, I think one of the most important things that people should